Chapter 9. I'm just containing my anger too, by the way. I get angry when I read this stuff. I am pretty mildly angry right now. I do not like this bullcrap. I do not like all of the evil that parents have put onto their kids. It is abuse to teach children this junk, these lies, this nonsense. It's abuse. Because these poor kids will have to go through many years of having to look at the world thinking God is evil and believing this stuff. And it will be very hard for them later in life to have to cut it loose. And for some people, they'll cut it loose. They'll cut it loose after they're like I'm almost 40 now. I'm 39 right now. Now I've chosen to stay away from women on my own for different reasons during my 30s. Mostly because it's just easier. But during my 20s, because I came up in a sex before marriage, belief system, there were many opportunities that I had to have sex with different girls, but I didn't. I didn't because I just, I felt like it was wrong. And I'm not saying it, I do actually think that it is a mistake to do that. And it has nothing to do with Christian upbringing. I do think that it's still a mistake to do that. But what I'm getting at is, I could have lived a completely different life. One more, I guess, the way I would have wanted to be. And that's also for good, too. That's not for worse. I might have kids right now. I might have kids that I love to death right now if I had lived differently. But because of this abuse, because of making people think a certain way and keeping them under a certain kind of mindset, there are many people in religious communities that have given up the prime years of their life. There's a lot of females out there that gave up the prime years of their life. They're now in their 40s and single, and no guy wants them because they're old. And they gave it all up because they were waiting for a false expectation of how the world works. They thought that God would bring a man into their life. They thought that, they don't understand that the world is just a world of causality. Things just happen. Cause and effect, that's it. God does not guide the rain to hit somebody or miss somebody else. He doesn't interact or engage with any of that. It's just a world of causality. God is in heaven, and we're in this world of causality, okay? We do our own thing. It's just a world doing its own thing. If you want a spouse, you have to make an effort to try to find one. You have to make sure your standards aren't unrealistic. You got to do things to try to find a spouse. Some people are lucky enough to fall into one, a good one, I should say, a good one, real lucky to fall into a good one. But that's not how it is. Most people have to make some kind of effort to find somebody. But there's a lot of religious people who did not make that effort because they just believed, they had great faith in nonsense, that someone was going to come for them. And now they feel sick with themselves. They feel sad, betrayed, but not even betrayed. They're not betrayed by their own foolishness. It's a strange feeling to try to describe. And then angry. And that's one of the reasons why I'm angry even as I read this, because I'm just reminded of decades of my life that I've spent thinking things that were not true. I've spent a very thorough time going through each idea, each thought, everything, and trying not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, like I still say. I know some people that are atheists are going to shake their head, but I have arguments against atheism later. I'll come to at some point later. That's not what this is about. I still believe that Jesus rose from the dead. He's still my Lord. I trust in him, and I wait for heaven, and that's me. But there's a lot of nonsense in this Bible, and they are the weeds that choke out any chance for life. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, is I just want to clear away all this crap. And I want people to look at the God of the Old Testament and compare him to Jesus. Compare him to an actual example of the living God versus what the priests who killed Jesus say God was like. Okay? You'll see a giant contradiction. And so anyway, let me continue. Where were we? Verse 11, he promised he's never going to, never again will all life be destroyed by waters of a flood. Well, yeah, no doubt. There's not enough water to do that. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. So now every time the world isn't destroyed by flood, people say, see, it's because God kept it from happening. Verse 12. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, and the covenant for all generations to come. Verse 13. I have set my rainbow in my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between... See, rainbows happen when it's raining in the sun. Another origin story right here. Dad, why are there rainbows? Well, you see, son, after God got done drowning all the puppies, he needed to make sure that humans didn't get scared anymore when it rained. So every time there's a rainbow, you can feel safe. Your puppy, son, he is safe from God. God will not drown your puppy. He may burn your puppy, run over your puppy, sacrifice your puppy on an altar, but he will not drown your puppy, son. Thanks, Dad. I mean, that's literally like what they're doing here with the rainbow. You know, they're coming up with like an origin story for rainbows now. Everybody gets an origin story. I mean, even rainbows get origin stories now. Okay, verse 17. So God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on the earth." So the rainbow, I guess. Every time there's a rainbow. Verse 18. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These were the three sons of Noah. You just said that. And from them came the people who were scattered over the whole... And from them came the people who were scattered over the whole earth. Wait, hold on. These are the three sons of Noah, and from them... Oh, okay, I see. From them. Their descendants were the people who scattered over the whole... Okay, I was like, whoa. Some people survived that thing? Covered all the mountains, man. Verse 20. Noah, a man of the soil, a farmer, is another way of saying it, proceeded to plant a vineyard. Oh, he's getting drunk. We killed all these fools off. It's time to party. Like it's 1999 or 2001, I should say. A man of the soil proceeded to plant a vineyard so he can make alcohol. When he drank some... It's funny how Baptists are all against alcohol when you literally have Noah here. The first order of business he had was to make wine so he can get drunk. That was literally the first thing he started doing. 21. When he drank some of its wine, wine, he became drunk and laid uncovered. He just naked. He just drunk and naked. Just laying around like a drunk naked fool. Verse 22. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders when they walked in the backyard and covered their father's shamefully naked body. Their faces were turned the other way so they would not see their father naked. Yeah, nobody wants to see their dad naked, but I think I can see what happened here. Before I get into Noah, the righteous man, giving out stupid and unfair punishments just like his got. Basically, one of the brothers came to the other brother and said, "Guys, Dad is drunk off his butt and he is naked out in the shed somewhere." And he was probably just laughing, and the other two, we better go cover him up. Verse 24. Now, I want you to hear the punishment now for just knowing. See, Noah is the one who got drunk, who went around exposing his genitals to everybody. Noah is guilty of these things, but that doesn't matter, right? Because rules for thee, but not for me. Verse 24, now Noah awoke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done to him. Oh, how dare he say, "My dad is shamefully naked and drunk," and probably laughed. Noah said to him, "Cursed be Canaan." Here come more curses. All that love that Jesus taught about, here it is right here. The righteous man is saying, cursing his own son. "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves." Oh, the beginning of slavery right here, justifying slavery. "The lowest of slaves will be to his brothers." He also said, "Praised be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem." See, they're justifying slavery right here. This is where it began. He's saying now basically that some people are slaves because they're just the descendants of Canaan, so they deserve to be slaves. So now you don't have to feel guilty when you have slaves. It's right here. More evil, the god of slavery. In Genesis chapter 9, starting from verse 18 on the story. But at the same time, he's calling his other sons great. So, verse 27, may God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem. And may Canaan be the slave of Japheth. This is a dad who is going around drinking himself drunk and being naked. So, his daughters and everyone else can see him naked. Okay? Oh, there's no punishment for him. He's above the law. He is the law. That's called self-righteousness, when you're like you define what good and evil is, and you are the one who say, this is what Noah is self-righteous, but God, the God of the Old Testament, thinks this is great, because this is what God does. God is guilty of all kinds of things, but hey, who's gonna bring an accusation to him, because he's the guy in charge, right? Thankfully not. Thank heavens he's not. Thank heavens Satan is not the one in charge. But that's how he is. He's unjust. It's iniquity. He's unfair in heart and spirit and everything. And just like his daddy Satan, Noah is exactly the same way. He's cursing his son Canaan for simply stating that reporting that his dad is now drunk and naked in the shed, back in the shed. Okay. It didn't say, now I don't know if I'm going into too much here, but it didn't say he went and he played around with his dad's junk, or he drew a little smiley face on his dad's junk, or it doesn't say anything like that. He wasn't pranking him. Okay? All it says, let me so you can see the sentence now. Let me explain. He has now been sentenced to a lifetime of slavery, which is basically worse than a life of prison, because prisoners don't even have to work. So a lifetime of slavery, and all of his descendants are now cursed to be slaves. And let me read the crime that he committed for this massive sentence. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and laid uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. So he just told them. But Shem and Japheth took guard. Okay, so all he did was he told his brothers about how Noah is naked. And that deserved a lifetime of slavery and all of your descendants to now be slaves for the rest of time. Slaves. Because you just told somebody that your foolish, drunken relative was knocked out and naked. Like, hey, somebody ought to do something. They couldn't have even gone to cover him if someone didn't tell them he was naked. So this is some massive injustice right here. And this also boils my blood. Let me look at my notes from what my past self said. Oh, I just make a point. Verse 3. Everything that lives and moves above be good food for you, just as I gave you green plants, now I give you everything. I just make a note that number 3 on foods. Verse 3 basically says that all foods are clean, but then later on the Jewish people are saying, because of Moses, that not all foods are clean, so we have a contradiction there. Verse 6, what did I put here? Oh, verse 6 says, whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed. For in the image of God has God made mankind. You gotta love that. Meaning, because humans were made in God's image, that if somebody sheds a human's blood, their blood will be shed. God literally just got done drowning all of mankind. And I guarantee you not every one of them, especially the little babies, I guarantee you they did not kill other people. Okay? So, again, rules for thee, not for me. The God of the Old Testament does not have to live by his own rules. He just says, whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed. For the image of God has God made mankind. Wow. That's a good point, old Daniel. You caught it. And I just wanted to point out, too, in my notes, it just says, false. There have been people who have shed blood and never had their blood shed. Every surviving World War II veteran who died of natural causes, basically. So that's just one quick example of the Bible is saying that anybody who sheds blood, their blood will be shed. Well, World War II veterans is a perfect example. On either side, anyone who survived from either side who killed other people, they lived. They didn't have their blood shed. So this is more nonsense. Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. It's just more nonsense. It's stating it like it's a rule of the universe now somehow. That once you've killed somebody, you're fair game. But then at the same time, he says earlier with the curse of Cain, that if anybody kills you, then the punishment will be 7 times worse for them. But he's also saying that you're supposed to kill them because they shed blood. You see what I'm saying? It's like a contradiction even within the first several books of Genesis. Genesis 9, verse 24, 25. This is where justifiable... Oh yeah, talk about slavery. One beloved son sees his drunk, naked father passed out, tells his brothers about it, and it gets cursed for an eternity by righteous, in quotes, Noah to be a slave. Does the sentence fit the crime here? This is the God of iniquity, the God of unfairness. Yeah, that was not a punishment. Not even 10 years in prison would not be worth telling your siblings that your relative is naked and drunk. That's not even worth 10 years in prison, let alone a lifetime of slavery and all of your descendants to be slaves. No, that's extremely unfair. Let's see what we got here. I tell you, Genesis really can wear you out. Okay, so he's done. Okay, we're done with Genesis chapter 9. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 10. The account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Let's see here. The sons of Japheth, Gog, Magog. Let's see here. Sons of Gomer. I'm sorry, Gomer and Magog. Those are, I said Gog, reference to Revelation. This is a bunch of lineage stuff. The sons of Cush. Oh, I just got demonetized again. Cush. It also sounds like it might be some kind of a marijuana or something. I don't know. Oh, yes. Cush was the father of Nimrod. I'm telling you, this lineage right here is amazing. Cush. A name like Cush gives birth, and he's like, my son shall be named Nimrod. This is golden. Who became a mighty warrior on the earth. That's great. I have to keep reading this, I'm sorry. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord Satan. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. So they're saying that's where the saying came from. I never heard that saying, but again, that's the people who killed Jesus explaining why things came to be the way they were in the Old Testament. Verse 10, the first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Kala, and Shinnur, and Murmur, from the all these dumb names have worn out my speaking ability. Egypt was the father of the Liddites, Anamites, Lebites, blah blah, all these ites from whom the Philistines came. Canaan, the slave man, was the father of Sidon, Hittites, Jebusites. This is where they said that this is where they think black people came from right here. They said that he was the descendant of Canaan. That's just messed up to justify slavery like that. And then an entire cultural slavery, too. Later, the Canaanite clans scattered and the bodies of the Canaan reached from Sidon, Girsu, blah, 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 blah. So this is a bunch of lineage. Do my notes have anything? Oh, yeah. Genesis chapter 10. On my notes, I put, this is one giant table of incest. It is, if you think about it, if you look at Genesis 10. It says that, like, the Egyptians came from Noah's kids. We know the Samaritans existed long before the Egyptians, so where did they come from? It's a good question, old Daniel. Another problem, where the hell did the Japanese people come from? Or Native Americans? How did black people get black? Etc. Now, I know the apologetic is going to say, well, that was the Tower of Babel. Okay, alright. I'm just asking questions like a kid would. I just start off by saying, well, we know that the Samaritans existed long before the Egyptians, so where did they come from? Because it talks about where the Egyptians come from in this, but it doesn't even acknowledge the Samaritans, I don't think. Let me see. Or is it not Samaritan? Maybe that's the wrong word. Let's see here. It doesn't say anything about Samaritans in this chapter, but anyway, yeah. And then I started asking, well, then, where did Japanese people come from? How did black people get black, etc. What a naive view of the world too, since all humans, best explanation says all humans came from Africa, meaning everyone was originally black, and then we moved to different areas, our skin lightened out, etc. I just like this, because it's all in such a small amount of time, you know, you gotta wonder where did the races come from. But anyway, Genesis 11, let's keep it moving. The Tower of Babel. See, where I asked the questions, and you see the authors, they already knew, because the kids probably been asking these questions too. And so they have to give the answer right after they ask it. Well, then where did the black people, how did black people become black? Okay, here we are. We're going to find out now, right now. Genesis chapter 11. Now they're going to answer the question I just asked. Tower of Babel. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." Not partially, thoroughly. We don't want none of the thorough, or one of those partial bricks. Only thorough bricks up in here. We used bricks instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." Dang, it's going to suck when they find out how thin the air gets and then when they hit the atmosphere. I mean, verse 5, but the Lord came down to see, he came down like from his UFO. This is some evil spirit, like Satan, some evil angel meddling with humanity. Meddling with everything. Meddling with the affairs. Killing people, cursing people. Notice how he never helps people. Notice how in Genesis it never once talks about how the Lord ever helps this people, heals these people, restores these people, guides these people, brings these people into righteousness. No, what is it? Oh, they're being bad again. I gotta punish all of them. I gotta drown their puppies. And gotta drown their little babies. Here, give me your little 2-year-old. I'm gonna drown your 2-year-old. Okay, now I'm gonna drown I'm gonna drown the 3-year-old. Yeah, okay, now it's your turn. Now I'm gonna drown you. This is all the God of the Old Testament is doing, is stealing, killing, and destroying. There is no grace, no forgiveness, no redemption, none of that. Okay, it's all evil. Don't forget that. Verse 6, the Lord, Satan said, if as one, I don't even want to use the word Lord anymore. I gotta keep just Satan said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us, plural, us, him and his evil angels, him and his demons. Satan says, let's go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. The God of confusion right here. The God of confusion. The God of deceit. The God of lies. The God of confusion. Confusion is a form of ignorance. And here we are, the God of confusion. He doesn't want people getting along, working together. No. He wants them separated, fighting. That's what Satan wants. Constant war, constant division, constant fighting. Verse 8, so Satan scattered them from all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. It had such great shrubberies too. Verse 9, that is why it was called Babel, because Satan confused the language of the whole world, because of, that's where he did it. From there, Satan scattered them all over the face of the earth. Okay, I see. That makes sense. That's why we have different languages. Oh. So then the kids were quiet. But where did black people come? See, they were scattered. They were scattered, and the ones out there, they got sunburnt, and that's why they're black. Oh, so that's what the kids said. Okay. Verse 10. Oh, man, this is a whole bunch of lineage. I am not even going to repeat this. You can look it up for yourselves. You won't want to read it either, though, I guarantee you. It's a bunch of people living 200 years and then having this kid, and 400 years and having that kid. Yeah, okay, here we go. This is contradicting the verse several chapters back. The one that says people will... Genesis 6 chapter 3 says where people will only live 120 years now. Well, here we are. Several chapters later, it says... Let me just read this. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became father of Apparat. And then after he became the father of Apparat, Shem lived 500 years. So that verse 3 is a lie. It's false. Okay? Right here, by internal logic, is saying that these people lived 500 years, 400 years, 430 years, 209 years, 200, all these different times. Not 120 years. So Genesis chapter 6 verse 3 or whatever it was is completely false. It did not limit people's life to 120 years. According to their own book, they kept living longer. Verse 27, this is the account of, okay, there's a bunch of family. Let's see who this gets to. Oh, Abram's family. Okay. Abram, the son, the grandson, Lot, his grandson Lot. Oh, for heaven's sake, I can't read. It's all these words I'm being bombarded with here. So Abram came to Haran and settled there. Terah lived 205 years. Again, proving Genesis 6, verse 3, whatever, that people don't live 120 years, and then he died in Haran. Okay. Genesis 12, the call of Abram. Okay, did I miss any notes? 11. Okay, before I go to 12, my notes for Genesis 11, verse 7, more of God referring to himself as multiple people. Verse 8, okay, so the God of Genesis decides to scatter them across the earth. Instant teleportation is basically within his ability, which he did not do during Noah's time, which would have been very helpful. I'm guessing maybe by the help of his alien creations, since he's coming up and going down and walking with his feet in gardens like he's an alien or something. And if God is in the business of teleportation, which he is, then why not just teleport Noah's family to safety, like on the top of a mountain? Why bother with him building a giant boat? Or better yet, why not just teleport wicked humans into outer space, or the sun, or just nowhere? Yeah, if God is doing teleportation, let me see what verse I did this for. See, 11, verse 8. So the Lord scattered them from all over the earth and stuff. Okay, so to be fair, it doesn't say that he teleported them. It just says that he scattered them. So that the apologists will argue and say he didn't instantly teleport them, even though he has done that with like Elijah and other characters. They're going to say, oh, they just, for whatever reason, because they couldn't understand each other anymore, they decided we're going to give up on this Babel building and we're just going to go that way. They put all this time into building this house that they're living in, and there's like, you know what? To hell with it. We can't understand our neighbors. We're getting out of here. We're all going to go in different directions. So, okay, fine. No teleportation. I made that. It was a quick... I assumed it was instant teleportation because, you know, places like Japan and North America are not easily attainable by walking. So that's why I thought it was instant teleportation, but my bad. They scattered. Okay, they scattered. All right. I do want to make that point about Native Americans or Japanese or anything else. How did they get to that places, you know, without boats? You know? Now, I know the evolution explanation, which, you know, I hold to, is that all of life came from Africa. People basically migrated everywhere. Eventually, they crossed over, like where all the, the igloo people. Oh my gosh, the Eskimos crossed over that way into North America, all that stuff. So they eventually did just walk there. But I'm just saying, with such a short period of time, how did they get to these places? And that's why I was like, must have been teleportation. Anyway, let's go back to, let's see, anything left with the notes? Nope, let's go to chapter 12. And the Lord said to Abram, go from your country, your people... dang it, I keep reading this. And Satan said to Abram, go to your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a great blessing. I will bless those who bless you. Oh, okay, and whoever curses you, I will curse. That's why so many Christian Americans think that it's important to send money to Israel right now. It's because of this line. And that's so insane because most of the people over in Israel, they hate Jesus. They want nothing to do with Jesus. They would kill Jesus easily again if Jesus existed. And Jesus and God have nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them at all. But you've got these stupid Americans who hold to this Old Testament verse, and they think that if they send money to Israel, they think that's why America is prosperous. They think it's because recently, you know, in the last, half century, we've been sending money to Israel since the 50s. That is not why America became prosperous. Okay? But this is why they are convinced it's a good luck charm. The people who hate Jesus, if you give them money, that somehow the God, the Father of Jesus, somehow is going, oh, well, you gave The people who murdered my son, who have nothing to do with me, you gave them money. Okay, well, I guess I'll give you money too. Why not just keep the money? You would have more money if you didn't just give it to Israel. I mean, it's amazing. Oh, but I forgot. It's good luck or bad luck charm. I forgot. That's how it works. You have to do it for the good luck charm. My bad. But this verse right here in chapter 12 is exactly why American Christians feel it necessary to constantly be financially supporting Israel, giving them weapons and planes and bombs. This is why, right here. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. Okay? Keep in mind, Satan said these. These are Satan's promises, so take it or leave it, you know. And all the peoples on the earth will be blessed through you. So only through Abram, I guess, is the only way you can be blessed according to Satan, God of the Old Testament. So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, blah, 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 possessions, accumulated a few people acquired in Haran, and sent out to the land of Canaan. He probably went to the land of Canaan to get him some cheap slaves. He heard there's a lot of cheap slavery out here, so that's what we're going for. We want some cheap slaves. And they arrived there. Verse 6, Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the tree of Morah and blah, blah, blah. The time of Kenneth and his Lord appeared to Abram, saying, to your offspring I will give this. Okay, this is ugly right here. To your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord to Satan who had appeared to him. This is going to be the beginning of genocide right here. Okay, you don't see it yet. Okay, but think about this. If you're living in a house and somebody knocks on the door and says, our great-great-grandfather said that this house belongs to us and now we're going to kill you and your kids and live in this house, you would be like, what? Well, that's exactly what the Hebrew people did to the promised land. Okay, God, at this point, the God of Abraham said, to your offspring, I will give you this land. A thief. Remember what Jesus said. The thief always comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He's stealing the land from these people. You have to kill them, and then you steal the land. Okay? Jesus said, Satan, all he is good for, all he does is stealing, killing, and destroying. And he promised Abram right here in chapter 12, verse 7, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar to Satan, who appeared to him. Verse 8, from there he went on towards the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent. And on Bethel, on the west of blah, blah, blah. There he built an altar to Satan and called in the name of Satan. Then Abram set out and continued toward Negev. Okay. Abram in Egypt. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. He was about to enter Egypt. He said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but will let you live. So you are my sister. He tells her to lie. Here it is, Abram, the father of lies. Jesus called him father of lies. Abram was always lying. He tells his wife to lie and says, say you are my sister so that I will be safe, basically, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. Verse 14, when Abram came, what did Jesus say? Jesus says no. He says your yes means yes and your no means no, and anything beyond that comes from the evil one. Abraham right here is saying for her to lie and more, and it becomes from the evil one. That's who's inside of Abram, is the evil one. Verse 14, when Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was very beautiful. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they raised her to Pharaoh. Dang. And she was taken into his palace for some brown chicken, brown cow. He treated Abram well for her sake. And Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels because of this lie. So because he lied, he was given these things. Okay? Verse 17. But Satan inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarai. How fair is this? So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? ? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? So somebody slipped her in the news, probably his wife. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you basically lie to me? Why did you say she is my sister so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. See, I don't know. I'm thinking that this story right here has been fiction, because if this would really happen, a Pharaoh would have just killed the guy and been done with it. He probably would have killed the guy even if he said it was his brother. He just killed the guy and been done with it. This right here just does not seem like this would have really happened this way, unless this Pharaoh is just a very nice guy. But again, the God of the Old Testament is punishing Pharaoh because he was the victim of a lie. Just like Adam, was given the fruit by Eve and didn't know better, or at least assuming that was the case. And now Adam is going to take punishment because he was tricked. Pharaoh had no idea that this woman was married. Any guy who's been on a date with somebody who was actually married but was saying she was single can understand this frustration. Okay? And imagine if the angry husband, in this case the God of the Old Testament, comes around. What'd you do to my wife? I'm going to beat you up now. You're like, dude, I didn't even know she was married. She said she was single. She lied to me, said she was single. And now you're going to punish me? Well, that's what the God of the Old Testament did. He decided, let's just punish Pharaoh because he slept with a woman who he thought was single. She lied to him under Abram's command to say that, she was his sister. Evil. Iniquity. Lies. But here it is. Abram, he's going to be a blessing to all the nations. Ridiculous. Let's look at my notes here. Chapter 12. Verse 10 through 13. Abram tells his wife to lie to save his butt. Abram uses his lies and his wife to gain property from Pharaoh. Stealing. Like a con man. Yeah, Abram was a con man, basically. A liar and a con man. Then oddly, the God of the liar Abram decides to punish Pharaoh instead. Not Abram for being a liar and a thief and whoring out his wife. Okay? The God of the Old Testament punishes Pharaoh for the crime of being deceived by Abram. The God of iniquity, for sure. Yeah, and oh man, I'm just saying the same old stuff. Here's what I wrote. I've known some girls who like me who pretended to be single. When I found out, I was upset for being deceived. How jacked up would it have been if God punished me for being lied to rather than the girl for lying to me? We're dealing with an unjust God of iniquity, the same God that curses Adam because his wife tricked him into taking forbidden fruit. Exactly. So I'm going to end this video on this one here. We're going to start on chapter 13 in the next one. I'm going to take a little break here.